We need to move, and we need to move fast. Those were the thoughts running through Gavin Harsh's mind when he heard about the beginnings of the Road 702 fire on Friday, April 22nd.
Friday, we knew it was going to be a miserable, nasty day, and I had got a call about 4 o'clock from one of my best friends that lives northwest of Bartley here, and he said, hey, there's a fire down by Gary Frex's place. You might want to head down and see if they need any help. So I got in, and I started seeing smoke as I was directed south and east here. And by the time I got there, I could see just a lot of smoke, and I had no idea where I was going because the wind was blowing the smoke so bad, but I couldn't see any fire though. And so I finally got down to where Gary's at, and I met the Cambridge fire crew, and they told me to go a little bit more east and get in that field and see if I could disc up some ground there. There was a couple other tractors already there. So we worked there. Gosh, I don't know, time went by so fast on Friday. Like, I can't tell if it was a half hour or 5-10 minutes. I couldn't tell you. But we were there in that field for a little bit, and before I knew it, I thought I was actually on the west side of the fire. Before I knew it, I was on the east side of the fire. And that's how fast it was moving, not just north, but actually to the west.
At one point, Gavin made his way up north to his neighbor's place, but the fire was moving so fast that he had to keep going even further north to try to get ahead of the fire.
So my next stop kind of was down by the river bottom between Bartley and Cambridge, and I got to the Susie's place, and we were working around there for a little bit, and I called my best friend back because he was down there at this time. I said, hey, I'm gonna go try to see if I can get up to Susie's feedlot. And unfortunately, that was probably not a very smart decision, because as I'm going south, I see one fire truck coming out, a grass rig coming out, and then I actually met a semi and a tanker coming out on the road, and that was a very tight quartered area.
He made it to his next stop, but that was met with yet another challenge, and a heated one at that.
So I got to the feedlot area, and as soon as I got to the feedlot, the tractor went from tractor room temperature to instant heat, full on heat. I finally could see the bins and the trees, and the trees were all on fire, so I didn't do anything there. I backed up, got away, got going back north down the road, and at that point the wind and the ash and the smoke was blowing so much in front of me, the road was hard to see whether the ditch, you were driving close to the ditch or in the middle of the road. I was a little concerned. The stomach was definitely doing a lot of flips at that point, and I said, I'm not doing that again.
By now, it was time to move their herd bulls and cows as fast as possible, but Gavin couldn't do it alone. He called up neighbors, friends, and even high schoolers to come bring trailers if they could to move cattle out of the line of fire.
We had about 200 cows out here east of the house that we needed to get moved further west because we could see the line of the fire. It was just kind of beelining for them. And so we got two different groups. I took the younger cows, and I had the neighbor take the older cows, and we got them all moved straight east of the house here on a 100-acre wheat field. And at that point, we hoped and prayed that the cows at least would be confined in the area. With the winds and being in an unusual place, the cattle could have drifted anywhere. But thankfully, the cattle the next morning were all still there. They didn't go anywhere. We still haven't done a herd total inventory count. It's going to take a full day's worth of checking off numbers to make sure we haven't lost any. I think we've lost potentially one calf for sure, but as far as cows, we're not aware right now.
He said once they moved the cattle, the rest of the night was dedicated to helping out the firemen who came from miles and miles away.
It was just trying to direct firemen around. With the zero visibility and their unfamiliarity of the land, I mean, we had Culbertson, Beaver City, Axtell was out here, and they don't know where they're going. So I was kind of the crew of just getting them around the roads and pastures that I knew that had good roads to get to them.
And as Gavin reflected on those brutal 12 to 18 hours.
But it was concerning when I saw Shane Messersmith with when he got back to the group of cows where we finally got him at, and his face is black, just covered in silt, ash, and everything. It's like that's how close it was for us.
But that continued into Saturday when the wind was still blowing relentlessly.
Like when the wind switched, there's so many acres that were not burned yet that it was fresh fuel for the fire. We just kept trying to protect as much as we could. And it was amazing. I think there was probably 8 trailers in a matter of 20 minutes that came through and loaded all those cattle up. It was unbelievable.
The Road 702 fire isn't burning anymore, but that doesn't mean their battle is over. In fact, in many ways, their battle is just beginning.
The toughest thing for us right now is we lost about 1,000 acres of pasture grass and about 700 acres of farmable acres. And that puts us in a tough crunch of what do we do through the summer, because everybody knows we're dry. Everybody's dry. And what are we going to do? Basically for us, that's about 100 pair. What are we going to do with 100 pair this summer when for the foreseeable future, we don't know what our stocking rates can be in the other pastures that we have. Because what does 2023 bring for moisture? We just don't know. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And do we send cows to another area? Is there some ways with the FSA that we can put some crops on the ground that is burned, farmable ground that's burned, to provide the feed for the livestock? We're not sure yet what is going to entail the next 30 to 120 days, really.
As a young producer, Gavin is constantly thinking about the immediate and long-term future. He says the next priority for the operation?
We need to be able to get the ground that's producing again for us, really. Yesterday was another miserable day, 60+ mile-an-hour wind. I mean, the field out here to the east of the house that burned, it just looked like a tornado had blown up everything. And I mean, they're 300 yards in the air is how high the dirt was. So we need to be able to get the soil in productive shape. And what programs we're able to do that, we have not been disclosed what we're going to do yet.
And for Gavin's dad, who spent 4 decades building up the operation.
He says, he said it a lot, especially since the bomb cyclone. Gosh, I've done this for 40 years and I've never seen something like this. I've done this for 40 years and I've never seen it. And it's just amazing. Whether the pattern of the weather has just gotten to be such extreme, whether it's wet or dry, we're just continually facing more and more challenges and adversity than we've ever thought we ever have to.
The word Gavin kept coming back to was thankful. Thankful his house and farm were still standing. Thankful he had friends and neighbors who were willing to help. Thankful for all he's been given.
You don't know and appreciate it until you lose it. There's some neighbors that they thought they lost all 3 of their homes. They thought they lost their bulls. They thought they lost maybe half their cow herd. But through some miraculous gift of God, maybe you've lost some calves and some cows. The houses remain, the bulls remain. Are the animals in stressed and tough shape? Absolutely they are, but they are alive. So that is amazing to even say that, because when I saw the feedlot all on fire like it was, I didn't think there was a chance in the world that they would be alive even.
For Gavin and his family at Dusty Prairie Ranch, like many other people in that area, they'll take their challenges day by day and count their blessings day and night. Reporting from Cambridge, I'm Alex Wojcicki for the Rural Radio Network.